As you continue working on your essay or project for this class, I want to introduce you to one more basic principle that can help you and that you might want to do more research on, include in your project or essay, but at least you should be aware of it. And that is something called Occam's Razor. And this is an idea that has been around for 600 or 700 years. There's nothing particularly earth-shattering about it, but we continue to not follow this principle. And it's very simple. The idea behind Occam's Razor is that if you are considering competing ideas, competing theories, competing assertions of fact, the simplest, the one that requires the least amount of stretching to explain it, is likely to be the one that's true. And the classic example that is always used when talking about Occam's Razor is, let's say you are lounging in your backyard and you hear hoofbeats running past. You can't see anything, but you hear the sound of hoofbeats. And you begin to think, well, what was that? And the Occam's Razor principle suggests that you should select the most likely of all of the alternatives, which is it was probably a horse. Some people want to immediately go to, well, that was probably a zebra, because for whatever reason they like the more exotic thought or whatever. Now, if you're living in, let's say, I don't know, Idaho, what are the odds of a zebra jogging past your house versus just a horse? Well, the odds are very much against it. And so start with the idea that is most likely to be true. Start with the simpler explanation first. Now, sometimes simple explanations turn out not to be true. This is a starting point. We don't want to make the leap right off the bat to the more complex, but sometimes as you go through the process of learning about the claim or the theory, you discover that it is quite complex, more than you thought, more than has been considered elsewhere, and the simple explanation turns out doesn't work. This is just a starting point, a basic premise from which to go forward. Let me give you another example. One of the most persistent and goofiest conspiracy theories out there is that the moon landing in 1969 was all faked. Well, I was actually alive in 1969. I was, 1969. I was 11 years old. I remember it very, very clearly. It was a big moment. But immediately there were people who said, well, that was impossible. We couldn't have done that. And so it was all done on a soundstage, or it was all faked. And that's where they want to go without doing the necessary research, looking into it in more detail. The truth of the matter is that if you had a basically medium-powered telescope, you could look at the moon depending on, the time of the year, etc., and you could actually see today the moon landing sites. That's hard to create through a conspiracy theory. The other thing is, and there have been many people who've gone through this, the idea that you could engage the hundreds, thousands of people necessary to create this fake moon landing and keep the story up for months, years, and decades is just not believable. So the application here, particularly in this day and age of the internet, where the majority of what we see on the internet is nonsense, before you accept anything that you read, regardless of the source that you're using, go deeper, read the whole story, understand it, and start with the assumption that the more simple the explanation, the more likely it is to be true. This is the basis for Occam's Razor.